Hey, this is Nims, and I'll be showing you how to build a PC and how to choose the right parts. First off, you're going to come to PC Part Pickers, and when you come here, you're going to be seeing this. So the first up is your CPU. So you have two choices: Intel, AMD. If you have a budget of 1,000 or less, I would choose the AMD. And if you have a budget higher than 1,000 or 12 to 1,300, I would choose Intel. Now for AMD, I would recommend the Ryzen 5 5600X as this is the most popular, and you can see it's at the top search, and it's only 149 CAD at the moment. See, this is CAD, not USD. Just keep that in mind. And if you're going for a gaming build for Intel, I would go for the Intel i5 12400F, which is also a reasonable price, around the same price, 149.99. And those two I would say would be your best choice if you're going for a mid-end PC, and it's still sufficient in basically most modern games. So let's say I would just choose the i5 12400F. Then your CPU cooler. So the Intel already comes with a pre-built CPU cooler, but if you're going to for looks, you can get any cooler. It doesn't matter. Just go something that's in your price range. Don't go too far out with it like a AIO, because if that's not in price range, then you're just wasting money. Anything works. The Deepcool AK400 works. It's only 29 decibels, so you can barely hear that, and it's relatively cheap. It's 34.99. So anything that you like goes there. And your motherboard. Now there's three types of motherboards. There's a ATX, a mini ITX, and a micro ATX. So as you can see, the Aorus Elite AX by Gigabyte is a standard ATX board, and this is really important because this would basically be the choice of your case as well. So as you can see, the sockets and everything else is LGA 1700. This is mostly for Intel, I believe. LGA 1700 sockets are usually for Intel because they have the little pin or needles at the bottom instead of it being on the CPU, and for AMD it's the other way around. The CPU itself has the pins. So these are mostly for Intel, but if you want to be specific for AMD, you can search up AMD motherboards, and then it can give you a list of a lot of motherboards that would go for AMD, like the Aorus Maximus Z790 Hero, and anything in your price range. Motherboards are usually not that important and when it comes to gaming, because it's usually your CPU, your RAM, and your graphics card. And talking about RAM, let's go into RAM. So the memory, you can choose a 16 gigabyte RAM. Just make sure that it has two modules or two sticks of RAM, because if it doesn't, then you would probably not be good. So anything that's 16 gigs or 32 gigs, so two six of 8 gigs RAM, or 2 6 of 16 gigs RAM. And I would recommend a Ripjaw if you're going for 16 gigabytes. So Ripjaw, I believe, is on the it's relatively cheap, 48.99, or you can go with the 32 gigs of 63.99. But that's also your choice. So if you were to choose that, just click there. And your motherboard, I'll just choose any at the moment because it doesn't matter. And as you can see, PC Part Picker tells you if there's incompatibility. As you can see, with the Intel and the B660 Tomahawks, there is a incompatibility. So you can check here. You can see that the CPU doesn't actually fit in the motherboard. So let's get rid of that and get a motherboard that would fit in, that would basically help fit in uh, the Intel. So let's check out the Asus Prime's B660D4. You can just add that. You don't have to choose it, but there is compatibility. And if you scroll down, you can see everything and anything. Next, you can go for storage. Now, I would recommend a NVMe drive as it's the fastest in the market and relatively cheap for its price. So 1 TB of NVMe by Samsung is only 54.99 CAD right now. So that's relatively cheap. So you can add that, and if you want multiple, you can go for that. But your PCI 3, most motherboards only, Gen 4 only comes with, in motherboards, it only comes with one Gen 4, and the rest are Gen 3s. So it's your choice how many you want. But I would just recommend 1 TB, then an external SSD for other things, and your video card. Right now, the market is fluctuating and going down and up because no one wants to buy the 40 series 4070 NVIDIA graphics because they're not as good as like the 3090 or anything like that. But right now, the 3060 12 gigs of memory is going for 279.99, which I would say is a really good deal, and I would definitely recommend it. This is definitely on, if you check it, it's definitely on Newegg or Amazon, and it's really cheap as far as I know right now. And you also have the Intel A770 that recently came out in November, and that's going for around 240. And that can play most games, but I would just recommend Nvidia because first of all, it's more optimized, and I would say it's overall a better choice. So let's say if you're getting that, just add it to the thing. Now case. You have to be careful with the case. Always look at what ATX type it is. Now you have mid towers, high towers, and basically small or full towers, and a smaller tower which is basically for your mini or yeah, your mini ITX boards. Now most of them are mid towers and full towers, so it doesn't matter which one you choose. But some cases do have built-in fans, which you could take, like the Deepcool CC560. It comes in built-in four fans. Now, if you don't like them and you want to get your own fans, that's completely fine. But for the price, this is a mid tower case. This should be good enough for any ATX board, because all the mid tower and full tower cases always have enough bolts to fit your motherboards. So let's say you choose that the CC560. Oh my god! And as long as it's compatible, it should be okay. And you can also see your estimated wattage, which you need for your power supply. Now, a power supply in today's day, I would recommend at least a 80 plus gold for 850 or above, because 750 you're not getting the most amount of wattage. And knowing most graphics card, they require more or sometimes less. It's just your choice. So you have the crosshair. The most popular is always at the top. So you have a full modular 80 plus gold 850 watts crosshair power supply. Now, if you don't want modular, which I don't know why you wouldn't want that, you can go for anything else, or you can go for semi-modular. And modular just means that if the cable's already in the power supply. So modular means that you have complete control over what power cables you want in there. And semi-modular is some of them, like the power supply or the at least a motherboard or CPU's power lines are basically connected in there, and then you have other options. And if you don't choose a modular, it means that all the wires are basically all in there in the power supply, and then you're gonna have loose wires and everything else. So I would definitely recommend a full modular, as it is definitely more customizable than anything else. And let's say if you go for the 850 wattage, then operating system, you can always get Windows 10 for free. And of course, I don't condone it, but anything like USB 2 Win can allow you to get Windows 10 for free without any other types of payments, just in case for future reference. Now, monitor, if you don't have a monitor, I would definitely say you can get one off of like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, or anything else. But if you want a whole new monitor, you can shop around. But most of them, I don't really care about unless you're big into gaming or response time. Then something like Alienware, that's almost $1,000. Yeah, that's not even worth it. So monitors, choose any you like. Refresh rate, you could always go for like a 144 right in the middle refresh rate, or even a 165. But if you're looking for high end, over your budget is over 2,000, go for something that's 240 hertz or 360, which is $1,000. I wouldn't recommend it personally, but I currently have the Asus, which is 165 hertz. I'm not sure which one I have, but it is, yeah, the Asus Tough Gaming. It's $200. It is an IPS panel, but sometimes it does go on sale on Best Buy or somewhere, or at least Canada computers if you live in Canada. And something like other peripherals like headphones, keyboards, mice, that's your choice. So right now, if without the operating system and the monitor, it's coming around to 1,000, but that's because I haven't chosen some of the stuff. CPU cooler, if you do decide to get one, just get any. You would be looking around 1,000 CAD, and of course you can check everything here to see if you have everything. Am I missing anything? So I would say this would be a low to mid-end PC. It can run most games with a 3060 12 gigabytes of RAM, but yeah, so everything you choose or you decide to choose goes on you. If something doesn't work, there's usually a warranty of at least a year or two. So you should be okay, but if you fail to basically pick your own parts, there's always completed builds by other community members, which you can always check out. And I would recommend seeing what they actually have, like this one. It's his first PC. He has a i5 12600K, 3.7 hertz, 10 cores. It's still good, and his total is only $900. You could always check out the pieces out, but if you're gonna get a pre-build, I would not recommend that because that's the worst thing anyone can do. So just go around, check PC Part Picker, tell me how it goes. If you have any other questions, just ask in the comments. I'm always available, and if you ever need help, I'll be there to help you. Peace.